My first job after university was over 10 years ago. I was earning 50,000 naira at the time, just over $160 in today's money. Interestingly enough, I always made it to the end of the month without any issues. I had minimal savings, but I was okay. Then I got another job with a bank. My salary doubled and I had a fancy new title. Funny thing now, I could hardly get to the 20th of each month without running to my girlfriend for a loan. The moral of the story? It's not the size of the paycheck, it's how you use it. Over the years and a number of job titles later, I've learned not only to make my money last, but to actually grow it. What's the secret? A simple habit of budgeting. Modupe, you tell me, why bother budgeting when I barely have enough to live on? I'll start budgeting when I start to earn real money. Truth is, the best time to budget is before you start to earn a lot of money. So let's talk about plans for your money, so that you not only have a bit left at the end of the month, but you can actually start that savings habit you've been telling yourself you're gonna start. And at the end of this video, I'll also be sharing details of my own personal budget, the budget I've more or less maintained for the past 10 years. It's evolved a bit over the years, but the general principles remain the same. So my first tip for budgeting is to prioritize, or as is more commonly said, pay yourself first. One principle that has helped me over the years has been to always pay myself first. Alright? Paying myself here refers to investing in myself or in things that I consider really important for my future, especially my financial future. What are those things that you know you should spend your money on, but you always manage to push to another month or another year? Your savings, your tithes, investing. Prioritize those above your bills, your meals, or any other thrills. Okay, now I'm rapping. I couldn't resist that. Before paying any bills, put the money for those important things aside. Put aside your savings, put aside your investment funds, alright, before you pay your bills. You'd say, the bills are important. Why am I not paying the bills first? Because your savings is just as important, if not more. And the truth is, because you know you have to pay your bills, or else your electricity gets disconnected, or the bank seizes your car, or some other creditor will come after you, you will find a way. Unfortunately, no one is going to harass you to save. Nobody's going to come after you to give or invest in anything that is going to help build your financial future. You have to decide what those things are, and you have to discipline yourself to start each month by paying for those things. Next, invest in paying off your debts. That's the second way you prioritize. Pay off your debts. In a country like Nigeria, where banks charge interest rates as high as 24%, or if you're lucky, maybe 20%, paying off your debts as quickly and consistently as you can is one of the best investments you can make. See it as a 24% return on your investment, right? And after paying any debts, then we can move on to bills, utilities, and other essentials. And lastly, always try to have a little fun each month. It will help you to curb the urge to dip into your savings in the future. Tip number 2, automate. Once you decided the key things you want to spend money on, set up automatic systems to make it easy for you to make the payments. You can use internet banking, you can write checks ahead of time, you can leave direct debit instructions with your bank. Just find a way to make sure you don't have to make that decision every month you want to make those payments, right? Internet banking is one key tool that I use all the time to stick to my budget. So when you use a bank like GTB, you can pre-register some regular recipients like a stockbroker or your church, so it's easy to make monthly transfers any time of the day from the comfort of your bed or anywhere. Automatic withdrawals or direct debits are another way. If your salary gets paid around the same time every month, you can easily arrange for monthly direct debits with your bank. They automatically make the withdrawals and payments on schedule each month without you having to prompt them. It makes it quite easy to stick to your budget. Another thing is to use post-dated checks, right? So I used to do this a lot with my stockbroker. I'll issue the checks, date it in the future when I know I'll have the money in my account, and I'll leave the instruction on what they're supposed to use the money for. That way I can easily follow up on instructions when they do make the withdrawals each month. But the moral of the story is automate. Tip number 3, as much as you can, pay for stuff ahead of time. This could apply to your utility bills or other essentials. For instance, I usually pay for at least 3 months of my internet subscription instead of doing a month's renewal. The last time I renewed my driver's license, instead of going for a 3-year renewal, I did a 5-year renewal. When I pay for satellite TV subscription, I pay for multiple months. Aside from the fact that you tend to get discounts when you pay for multiple periods, or you pay in advance, it also means that you lock down the rates for that period. So for if I go back to the example of your driver's license, if for whatever reason the charge for renewing your driver's license changes in the next 3 years, I won't be affected until my own license expires in 5 years, right? So the same thing applies to satellite TV subscription. If for whatever reason the subscription rates change and I've already locked down 6 months, then I'm unaffected until the 6 months expire. So it just makes more sense that way. As a Nigerian, another area where you should pay in advance is any expense that you have in dollars. Not to sound pessimistic or patriotic, but considering that the US dollar remains one of the strongest currencies globally, at least compared to the naira, paying for a domain name, for instance, if you pay every year, it means you are hit by any devaluation to your currency within that year. You could easily lock down the rate for 10 years instead, and that makes more sense. And another area where you should prepare is with your investments. So let's try a small exercise. Which do you think is better? Investing 120,000 naira in January, or investing 10,000 naira every month from January till December? It's a trick question. Both are good. While the monthly investment helps you to develop the habit, when you look purely at the earnings, you will make much more, you make more when you invest the 120,000 naira upfront in January. So for my friends who receive upfront allowances or bonuses in January, a great habit is to invest a significant chunk of that in a compound interest investment vehicle, like mutual funds or bonds or something like that. There's some investments you don't really need to go into upfront, however. Shares, it doesn't matter if you invest early or late. If you invest at the right price, that's what matters. But we'll talk about that much later. So I'm sure you're wondering, all this sounds so serious. When do I get to enjoy my money? Alright, so you get to enjoy your money every month. I mentioned it earlier, but it deserves a separate point. You need to budget for fun. Plan for fun. Don't just wait until you have something you want to spend the money on. Plan for it. Set money aside every month that you can actually use in future for fun. Fun includes a crazy weekend out of town, or when you want to splurge on a mobile phone or a new TV set. The rule, however, is that this comes last, after you pay for everything else. So maintain rule number 1: prioritize. In some cases, you might have to put this money aside for a couple of months to afford the intended purchase, for instance a phone or a new car or a trip out of town. But trust me, it's worth it, and your future self will thank you. And who knows, a new model of the phone or TV you're planning to buy may be out by the time you get you saved off enough money, and you'll be able to buy the new model instead. I know that happened to me when I was getting a TV. And most importantly, it helps condition your mind to learn to delay gratification, one of the most important habits of successful individuals. So my final tip for sticking to your budget is to do something I call precrastinating. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the complete opposite of procrastinating. And what does it mean? As much as possible, implement your budget immediately you get paid. Don't wait a day or two. Online banking helps me a lot here. The reason for this is simple. Borrowers lurk and distractions abound. We all have that colleague or friend that seems to always need a soft loan or something during the month, and while they may pay you back by the end of the month, you've lost out on whatever gains you could have made from investing that money. It's better your cash is tied up in some investment than wasting in the bank, or worse still, sitting in someone else's account only to come back to you at the end of the month when you've lost that opportunity you had to invest it. Even a savings account is not a great idea. I'll do a separate video on that later on, but suffice to say, it's easier for you to spend the money rather than invest it, and the returns on savings accounts are really not that great. Plus, some banks only pay you interest on savings accounts if you limit the number of withdrawals in a month, which just defeats the entire purpose anyway. So the rule while procrastinating, though, is to make sure you follow the order of prioritization, which is still the number 1 rule of budgeting: prioritization. Like we said before, once you've sorted out the important things, your investments, your giving, you will find a way to resolve the other stuff. So before we end this video, I have a little bonus for you. I'll be sharing a breakdown of what my personal budget looks like. Before I do that, a word on budget management tools. I'm aware there are a number of interesting apps out there, but don't get bogged down by the tools. Don't be distracted by this. Honestly, all you need to make and keep a budget is a notepad and a pen. I personally prefer Microsoft Excel. I created a simple Excel template that I've used to manage my budgets, and it allows me to outline everything I spend money on and modify over time as I see fit. Now, I've illustrated the important things I spend money on and what portion of my net monthly income goes into each of these items. My budget is split in 3 sections mainly: giving, investing, and spending. About 30% of my income goes to giving. That's what I give as tithes, what I give to my dependents, my family, my siblings, and what I give to charity. The next 60% goes to my investments, and I'll share a bit more detail here. And the first item here is my loan payments. As far as I'm concerned, paying down a bank loan is the most important investment you can make. I won't go into why there are bad debts and good debts, but once you have any debts with interest rates as high as they are in Nigeria, you should pay them as soon as you can. You'll notice this is the largest single item in my budget, and while I won't suggest you max out your monthly payments at 30%, see it as an investment with 20 to 30% return. Other investments I make include life insurance. I'll talk about that in a separate video. I save in safer investment vehicles like mutual funds, more aggressive investments like stocks, and lastly, foreign currency savings. The final bit of my income goes into monthly expenses and fun stuff. Some of these are actually not monthly, as I try to pay for things like the internet, TV, and electricity months ahead of time. So that's it. 5 tips to making and keeping your own budget. If this video has been useful to you in any way, please do 2 things for me. Share it with someone that needs it, and leave a comment below. Have a good day, and remember, it's not the size of your paycheck, it's how you use it.